Vietnam Veterans Day is commemorated on August 18 every year. The day was originally known as Long Tan Day, chosen to commemorate the men of Delta Company 6 RAR who fought in the Battle of Long Tan in 1966. On that day, 108 Australian and New Zealand soldiers fought a pitched battle against up to 2,000 North Vietnamese and Viet Cong troops in a rubber plantation not far from the small village of Long Tan. The Australians prevailed, but only after fighting in torrential rain for 4 hours. They were nearly overrun, but were saved by a timely ammunition resupply, accurate artillery fire from the Australian base 5,000 metres away, and the arrival of reinforcements by armoured personnel carrier. 18 Australians lost their lives and 24 were wounded, the largest number of casualties in one operation since the Australian task force had arrived a few months earlier. Kevin Knowles, formerly of Camperdown, now residing in Japan, wrote to me regarding the events on the day Armstrong stepped on the moon. Mick Storen was also wounded with Alfie Lamb, a Camperdown soldier, in 3 Platoon A Company 6 RAR NZ on the day the Yanks landed on the moon. Mick's sister was engaged to John Schumann, and he then interviewed Mick Storen for what happened on that day many years after Vietnam. After this meeting, apparently, John wrote the lyrics to the song within an hour or so. Anyway, that's the story that we believe. Who better than to tell the story than John Schumann, composer of I Was Only 19, in a message sent to the Gallipoli Centenary Ball in 2015.
Over the 30-odd years since I wrote and recorded it, lots of people have said lots of very nice things about I Was Only 19. But for me, the song reminds us all that we can oppose a war vigorously if that's what our conscience demands of us. But we must always support and respect the people we send to fight it. This song's lasted so long, among other things, because it speaks the truth about PTSD. It sets it in a real-life context. Armed combat is the highest form of public service. When men and women come home from whatever conflict our government sends them to, we owe them and their families all the help and support that we can possibly give them. They didn't count the cost, and neither should we. I would like to think that my song I Was Only 19 honours all the men and women who've worn Australia's uniform and put themselves in harm's way in our name. We honour them, and we must stand with them when they face the difficult challenges of coming home. We honour the veterans who've stepped up to be a part of this medical research so they can help the next generation of vets. I'm really sorry I can't be there with you tonight, but thank you. Oh, one last thing. Don't let anyone ever tell you that songs can't change the world. Mum and Dad and Denny saw the passing out parade in Puckapunnu. It was a long march from cadets, and the 6th Battalion was the next to do. It was me who drew the card. We did Canungra and Shoalwater before we left. And Townsville lined the footpaths as we marched down to the quay. This clipping from the paper shows us young and strong and clean. There's me in me slouch hat with me SLR and greens. God help me, I was only 19. From Brumtown, riding Chinooks to the dust at Newey Dam, I've been in and out of choppers now for months. We made our tents a home, VB and pin-ups on the lockers, and an Asian orange sunset through the scrub. And can you tell me, doctor, why I still can't get to sleep? Night times just a juggle was only 19. On a 4-week operation, when each step could mean your last one on 2 legs. It was a war within yourself, but you wouldn't let your mates down till they had you dusted off. So you close your eyes and you thought about something else. And then someone yelled out, "Contact front!" The bloke behind me swore. We hooked in there for hours, and it got almighty raw. Frankie kicked a mine, the day that mankind kicked the moon. God help me. He was going home in June. I can still see Frankie drinking tinnies in the Grand Hotel, a 36-hour rent leaving Von Tower. I can still hear Frankie lying screaming in the jungle till the morphine came and killed the bloody row. The Anzac legends didn't mention Martin, blood and tears, and the stories my father told me never seemed quite real. I caught some pieces in my back that I didn't even feel. God help me. I was only 19. And can you tell me, doctor, why I still can't get to sleep? Why the Channel 7 chopper chills me to my feet? What's this rash that comes and goes? Can you tell me what it means? God help me. I was only 19.
Barry Hurd, 7 RAR, author of Well Done Those Men, wrote an ode to Vietnam veterans. The communist bogey, was that correct? The drop of a marble, so many lives wrecked. Not shirking their responsibility, they fought to a man. The tradition lives on. The Battle of Long Tan. And when led by foolhardy politicians, where is there a good? Then home to insults, abuse, and just get on with life. Saw this fragile young man with a stoic young wife. They denied him a march on Anzac Day, saying it was not a war. So did he go there to play? Then Sydney 87, Welcome Home March. Sorry it was too late, as their mould was truly cast. Suicides and Agent Orange delivered such pain, then those Pentagon papers confirmed the deceitful shame. Finally, a memorial, Canberra, they attempted to bury dead grief. For most it was all too sad. So we ask one bequeath. Ode to the veteran. We the forgotten would like to forget, but etched in our minds are mates, futility and regret. To this sad part of our history, just let it be said, acknowledge us quiet veterans, never forget our dead. During the Vietnam campaign from 1962 to 1975, 521 soldiers were killed. 2 local men were among them. 379-1583 Gunner Ian James Scott, 379-8081 Private Ralph James Niblett. We were students together at Camperdown High School. Their photos are proudly placed on the map today. The mortar attack on the underprepared Nui Dat base in the darkness of August 17 may have indicated the start of a larger confrontation which was foiled by the actions of Delta Company 6 RAR. The Battle of Long Tan lasted just 4 hours on August 18, 1966, but for Major Harry Smith, Delta Company's commander, the torment of his memories and the fight against those who managed the gallantry honour system has continued to haunt him for the next 49 years. Immediately after the battle, in which 18 soldiers and hundreds of the defeated enemy died, Colonel Smith recommended 20 of his men for gallantry awards. The recommendations were largely ignored. 4 were rejected on the spot, including Victoria Cross for Sergeant Major Jack Kirby. Of the 16 nominations remaining, half were knocked back and some of the remaining were downgraded. In the lead up to the 50th anniversary of the Battle of Long Tan, his perseverance was rewarded, and finally it was confirmed on the 10th of August 2016 that the Veteran Affairs Minister Dan Tehan would announce 13 new bravery awards alongside Lieutenant Colonel Smith and Mark Sullivan, the Chair of the Defence Honours and Awards Appeals Tribunal. The support of the artillery was crucial to Delta Company, who were 5,000 metres from Nui Dat. 4 artillery batteries of the Australian Task Force Nui Dat were used in the battle. 6 by 105mm L5 pack howitzers of 161 Field Battery Royal New Zealand Artillery. 6 by 105mm L5 pack howitzers of 103 Field Battery Royal Regiment Australian Artillery. 6 by 105 L5 pack howitzers of 105 Field Battery Royal Regiment Australian Artillery. 6 by M109 self-propelled 155mm guns of A Battery, 2nd 35th Artillery, US Army. 2 UH-1B Iroquois helicopters from 9 Squadron RAAF were used for the critical ammunition supply to Delta Company. The Battle of Coral Balmoral began on 12 May 1968 and lasted until 6 June 1968. It was the largest and most sustained engagement of the Vietnam War involving Australian troops, and was the first Australian all-arms brigade-sized operation since World War II. All members who were part of the first Australian Task Force forward during the battle were awarded the Unit Citation for Gallantry on the 13th of May 2018, which was the 50th anniversary of the battle. A strikingly similar situation to the awards for the Battle of Long Tan. There are many stories of bravery and dependence on each other. However, the actions of the tunnel rats come to mind. Their dedication and obvious risks to themselves while clearing paths to soldiers wounded by booby traps or anti-personnel mines. An article published in the New York Times, 9th of February 2018, described the activities of Jeff Handley, a resident of Camperdown for many years. These experiences remained in his thoughts until his passing in 2018. Remembering all who served and those families who lost family members or were confronted with caring for loved ones who returned and was forever facing physical and mental hurdles. Most, if not all, were wounded one way or another. It was our last reunion, as most are not in the best health. We stand by our motto, to honour the dead and fight like hell for the living. The following is entitled Try to Understand. The author is unknown. Try to understand if he stays home alone and doesn't like to hear the phone if he won't answer the door, because he doesn't want to see anyone anymore. Try to understand if night time is something to dread and his sleep is restless and fleeting in bed. If he quietly gets up in the night so as to not disturb your pleasant respite. Try to understand if he becomes nervous and jumps around, an unexpected movement or a sudden sound. If he sits in a restaurant with his back to the wall because he can't have anyone behind him at all. Try to understand if he shows no fear and wouldn't turn if he could. That part of him is gone that says that you should. If his anger seems quick and extreme, he's only trying to control intense emotions unseen. Try to understand if he seems emotionless and indifferent some days, and perhaps he just says, go away. If he becomes depressed and may seem unkind, he's only trying to spare you the agony of his mind. Try to understand if his mood changes and alters, and he becomes unsure and often falters. If he becomes sad and stares into space, he has only gone to some other place. Try to understand, because he can't. The vets cry for help. I now ask Andy Bell to come forward and lay a wreath on behalf of Vietnam veterans. I ask Pat Scott to come forward and lay a wreath on behalf of her brother. Please stand for the oaths to fall. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Please remain standing. We will have the last post, the minute silence and the rest. lest we forget. Please remain standing for the national anthem of New Zealand. Australian national anthem. This concludes our service for Vietnam Veterans Day, August 18, 2020.